Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial we'll write a Python program to print this number pattern. Shape of this pattern is right triangle and here number of row in this example is 5. But in the program we'll ask the user to enter number of row. And for number of columns we'll use the formula row plus 1 because here when row is 0 we need 1 column. When row is 1, we need 2 columns. When row is 2, we need 3 columns like that. So we'll use the formula row plus 1 for number of columns. Alright, next. This is a number pattern and here we want to print numbers in different row and columns. So let's see how to print these numbers. Here in the first row, row 0, we want 5. And the next row, we want 4 and 5. That is, if I add 1 to 4, then I'll get 5. Here in the next row, we want 3, 4, 5. If you add 1 to previous value, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5. We can get these values. Here also, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. And in the last row also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. So here we can get these numbers by adding 1 to the previous number. But what about this number? How to get these numbers in the first column, column 0? So if you carefully observe this, you can see we want 5 in first row, that is row 0. And we want 4 in row 1, we want 3 in row 2, we want 2 in row 3 and we want 1 in row 4. In this output, number of row is 5. When user enter number of row as 5, we'll get this output. So if I minus the row number from the number of row, then we'll get these numbers. That is 5 minus 0 is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3, 5 minus 3 is 2 and 5 minus 4 is 1. So to get these first numbers in the first column, column 0, we can use this formula, number of row minus row number. And then to get remaining numbers, we can add 1 to the previous number and we'll get these numbers. Right? 4 plus 1, 5, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5, like that. Right? This is about the number and shape of the pattern. Next, let's write the program. In the Python file, the first step in the pattern program is we need to ask the user to enter the input. Here input is number of row. First take a variable. We'll use input function. Here print a message. And here I'm using Python 3 and in Python 3 by default this input function will take input as string value. But here number of row is an integer value. That's why we need to convert that string value to integer value. For that I'll use int function. Right, now we are done with the first step. The second step is we need to use nested for loop to print numbers in different row and columns. So first for loop is for row. Here row is a variable which represent row number in the output. And in the range function, I need to mention how many row we want in the output. We want num rows. And next inside this, we need to take the for loop for column. And here call is the variable name which represent the column number in the output. And here in the range function, I need to mention how many columns we want in each row. We want a row plus 1 column. When row is 0, we need 1 column. When row is 1, we need 2 column. When row is 2, we need 3 column like that. That's why I'll use this formula row plus 1 here. We want row plus 1 column in every row. Right, next I want to print the number. So how to print the number? As I said, in the first column of every row, in the beginning of every row, to get the numbers in that first column, column 0, I need to use the formula. I need to minus row number from the number of row. Here I'll write this formula here because here we want these values in the first row. When we start this row, we want here 5 in the first row. That time row value will be 0. So 5 minus 0, I'll get 5. In the next row, when I start this row, num is 5 and row value will be 1 here. 5 minus 1, I'll get 4. 5 minus 2, I'll get 3. And we need to write this in the beginning of the for loop. Then print that value, use end to print the number in the same line as well as to add space between the numbers. Then to print remaining values or numbers, you need to add 1 to the previous value. I'll take this row as example, okay? So for loop will start here, row value is 2 and value num minus row. So I'll get 5 minus 2, I'll get this value 3. Val or value becomes 3. Then for loop and it will print the value, okay, 3, it will print that. Then add space between the numbers. Next value equal to value plus 1. So 3 plus 1, it will become 4. So it will again come here and it will print that 4. Add space. Then again it will execute this 4 plus 1, 5. So I'll get 5 here. Okay. To get the first number of every row, we need to use this formula. To print the remaining numbers and to get remaining numbers, we need to use this formula. Then here use print function inside the first for loop and outside the second for loop to print different row in different lines. We are done here. Let's save this file and execute this. Number of row is 5 and here you can see the output. Let me take 8 and here you can see the output. So what we are doing here, first we'll ask the user to enter number of row and next we'll use for loop for row and here we need num rows and next we'll use this formula. This formula is to print the first number in every row and this value will change at the beginning of every row. That's why we need to use this formula here. Okay. Then we'll use for loop for column and we'll print the value, and to print the remaining values in the row, that is value for column 1, column 2, column 3, I'm using this formula. Alright, this print function is to print different rows in different line. Alright, so this is about this pattern. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will meet you in next class. Till then, take care.